What's up guys, Ben here bringing you another video today. Season 2 Reloaded for Modern Warfare 2 came out yesterday, and along with that was the release of a completely new 6v6 map, not a museum like we had it in the beta. This is a completely new map. It's called Himmelmatt Expo. We did a little bit of playtest yesterday. Let me dive in on my thoughts and kind of where I think this map might slide into the ranked play and CDL competitive rule set. So these are the objective points for control. Below my face cam is where defense spawn into left, top left here. The blue arrows is where offense spawn, and there's 2 points. Basically, point A is in a like pool house across from this sort of big sort of hotel expo center thingamabob. So it's in a pretty wide open space. The point itself kind of stretches sort of outside a little bit of the box, so you can kind of contest for some interesting angles, but you are exposed to both defense and offensive lanes there. And then B is basically in this sort of like theater kind of area, almost like a conference room. We were calling it stage, but because there is a stage and a little bit of a crane on it, but it's pretty much like a contained room. There are a couple ways into like the backside of B. There's sort of this doorway here. There's one here. You can kind of come off a spawn through these sides, and then coming from the offensive side, like you can kind of obviously pinch, but there's a sort of top area here, sort of projection room. There's also a bottom kind of series of entranceways here that you can kind of flood in. So my personal thoughts on control is, first off, like I don't think that you can spawn trap as bad as you can in Fortress. Like even if I think if you get some kind of deep spawn back here, let's say you're kind of pushed up in these corners, I don't think that that's theoretical spawn trap of, this lane, all of these doors, all of this is going to be bad as Fortress. Because I think you can just push right and kind of, nade people off of the trucks that are like here, the bus that's here, there's a bomb site that's here. It's not going to be as much of like a contained choke point as like Fortress, where you're just kind of following top maps and it's a doorway and it's kind of a, not that great. So I think instantly this map is better than Fortress Control. I will say that I do think that B is a little bit of sort of a kind of mixed fest, but I think you are actually going to be able to sort of stack and sort of push out and be able to kind of block some of this so that they have to kind of funnel the backside of stage. Or like really try and go all the way around. So my thoughts on control is I think this map is and should replace Fortress Control. I think it's still kind of a 6 or 7 out of 10 map in the game mode. It's not perfect, but it's way better than Fortress Control. And if it doesn't replace Fortress Control, I don't really know what. I would love to know what the pro players are smoking at that point, to be honest. All right, so next up we have Hardpoint. This is where things get a little bit more interesting. So shout out to Optic Texas for these images they posted on their Twitter. And there are 5 hills on this map. Pretty straightforward rotation. The pool house is again one of the points. P1's kind of a mix fest. If you don't have a trophy in there and nades get thrown, it's just really hard to finesse without running outside. And there's just really easy sight lines on both sides because of how open this space is. Like this is a little bit of a depressed area. Like this on top of a hill, it basically goes down and then up, kind of in a little bit of a valley situation. There's some headies you can hold here, but like all of this is windows. This is a plat where there's windows here. There's stairs you can use the head glitch. And you can kind of see in coming off the spawn here and from there. So I don't expect a lot of people to get a lot of hill time on 1. I think on P2, you can get a decent amount of time, but it's a similar problems to be on control. I do think that the other 3 hills, 3, 4, and 5 might be potential money hills. I think 3 because you can kind of probably really push out this hill if you block the back. And they have to really kind of OE and pinch if they really want to try and manipulate the spawn. I think you get a lot of time on this hill. I think you'll probably get a lot of time on 4 as well, sort of in this top lounge area. The only thing is that this is like almost this entire building is a little bit exposed. So you're gonna need to play behind pillars or push out. So that's an interesting one. I think P5 is probably the biggest money hill. It's so sticky to this back spawn. I think you could really cut off like all the ways to flood, which is through this area right here, the top ply area right here, and going all the way around. Like I think you can make a really good 4-person setup. Just kind of really push this hill out. So for Hardpoint, I think it's not that bad. Now, here's where things get interesting is I would say, in my personal opinion, I think this map probably in first playtest plays a little bit better than Hydro. I want to play more before I form that opinion, but I don't really know if this one's going to replace any Hardpoint maps in the pool because I don't think that the pro players will come to a consensus on what map to get rid of. I think there are a lot of teams that don't like Hydro Hardpoint, but there are a lot of teams or a bunch of teams that do mind or do like to play that map and won't get rid of it. I think there are a bunch of teams that don't like Fortress Hardpoint, but there are a bunch of teams that don't mind it and think it's straight up. So we can keep going. We can talk about like a Mercado, and there are a lot of teams. There are a number of teams that don't like Embassy Hardpoint spawns. I just don't see pro players coming to a consensus on removing a map for this one. I guess you could theoretically add a 6 map to the pool. It would make vetoes really interesting, and we get into a to a conversation of when we get to a 6-map pool, are we adding one more veto for either team A or team B? Or are we just rolling with like the 4 maps are left over and you pick 2 of them type scenario? I'm gonna leave the pro players to debate that one with the league, but I would say it's a playable hardpoint map. But if we're sticking with 5, I just find it hard that this one would make it in. All right, finally, we have Search and Destroy, and this is a little bit of an interesting map, the way it sets up for S&D. So offense is on this side. You can't really see, the fish can's blocking it. And then you have defense over here. So A-bomb's basically in the defense spawn. They can get there a lot quicker than offense can get to A. I think defense would also beat the team to B, especially if you go top. But I do think you could probably overwhelm people pretty quickly in B and get that bomb down a lot quicker. I just don't think you would ever like fast A. I think it'd be really hard to just like, unless they completely sagged off A and tried to hard counter B, just don't think you can get there very fast. I guess my thoughts on this S&D map, we only played it like twice. I thought it was interesting for Search. I think there's a lot of opportunities to make plays on this map. There are a lot of wide open spaces. So spraying the map, playing for picks, or just hitting stuff out as a team. I think there's a lot of different ways you can play this. So I would love as a next step to see like some S&D stars play this map, some pros play this map, and H and really break it and see if like this sort of B being too close and A too far is kind of not ideal bomb sites on offense defense split. But if the map is good, we get into a very interesting conversation. So I think a lot of pro teams have 2 maps they don't like in the pool currently. One is Mercado S&D, which we've talked about a bunch. It's basically just, depending on spawns, like a team deathmatch. Everybody goes P2 house and either you get the kills hedge, or you push up and you get the kills on defense, or offense you get in the house and they push you or you gun them head. So it ends up being like a team deathmatch fest. So a lot of teams don't like the map because it's just straight up in that way. And a lot of teams don't like Fortress S&D because it's just really straight up. You can't really make a lot of plays. It's essentially who can get into like top or bottom art kind of key moments of the round and kind of make plays from there. I think Slasher once came on our show and described it as like the roulette table, like gambling. And so I think a lot of teams would love to see that map come out of the pool. So I think this one needs a little bit more testing and search because I don't think we played it enough or in the limited playtest we got to really like definitively say if it's a good S&D map or not. But if it's good, it's then going to become a debate amongst the pros of, okay, are we going to get rid of Fortress S&D? We get rid of Mercado S&D. It's always tough. I don't really know if they'll come to consensus on that one. But I think the map pool, if this map is good, we get way better by removing one or the 2 of those. All right, so before we get to kind of my final thoughts, just want to also kind of give you the outside perspective as well from other people that played, so you just don't think I'm capping. Crowder obviously tweeted that he thought this map was 1,000% better than Fortress Control. So that's pretty good gas right there. And then Rambo had a little bit deeper thoughts. He said that he thought it was a suitable replacement for Fortress Control in S&D. He thought it was good for Hardpoint, but you know, as we've discussed, I think it's gonna be difficult to take out one of the current maps. Austin Littlecoat Slasher then replied, you know, that he's not a fan of Hydro, so he wants to get it in for Hardpoint there. Rambo replied, I think this is a good response from Ray of, you know, hey, like I kind of understand where you're coming from, but really like recommend that you guys play it and kind of get more thoughts, and that sort of the water route thing is sort of an overblown pro player thing, which I don't think he's super off base on. Pro players don't like gimmicks. The swimming is kind of a gimmick. Like we saw during the Optic Toronto final at Major 3. Yeah, it's fun to swim, but if you're swimming and the rest of your team's fighting 3v4, you might just be kind of throwing away map control. So just food for thought there. So look, I think in summary for me, I think 100% Fortress Control should be out of here ASAP. I would love to just get this map in for Major 4. We have enough time now, and I don't think teams are all really scrimming. Some are starting now, but I think most aren't playing until the weekend. There's enough time between then to just get this map out of here and let's start playing Expo Control and getting some reps on it. As for Hardpoint and Search, my prediction is Hardpoint not likely going to make an adjustment to the map pool because I actually don't think the map pool is all that bad. I mean, yes, spawns are a little bit funky on maps like Hydro at times, but I think teams have gotten used to the Hardpoint map pool. S&D is a little bit more interesting. If this is a good search map, it's going to then become a question of, do we get rid of Mercado or do we get rid of Fortress S&D? And then I think for both Hardpoint and S&D, there's obviously a conversation to be had about, do we just add the map to both those pools and just go with the 6 map pool? The only issue with that obviously is we have to kind of adjust the veto rules, and how unbalanced Team A or Team B become in a 6-map pool is an interesting question for the league, competitive ops staff, and pro players themselves. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Was really fun. I don't know why people were saying that this map is like too large. I really don't think it's actually that big. I don't know where all of that rumor came from. I mean, yeah, there's some wide open spaces in the middle of the map. It's pretty wide open, but like The map itself is just really not that big. I think you can run from one side to the other pretty quickly. And I think that was a little gassed. I will say just sort of things that I haven't quite talked about yet, just general map thoughts. There are a lot of doors on this map, so that's a little bit of an issue. There are a lot of weird kind of choke points, especially around sort of the grill theater area side of the map. We can kind of side flank through these sort of weird sort of connector parts to the theater. So that's going to take some getting used to, but it's not unlike things we've had in past maps. So I think it's manageable. The doors are not ideal, but the developers of Call of Duty have an obsession with doors now, so it is what it is. But overall, I think would love to see this in for Control. The other game modes, we'll see. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the video and what you think of the map in general. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more. And as always, guys, we will see you on the next one.